Hello there, and a very warm welcome to another edition of Channels Beam. I am Victor Matthias. Now, sports, they say, is a universal language. However, many also see sports as an avenue to foster peace and development in the society. Now, the question is, how can you do that? And that is our focus this week on the program. But before we find out how, let's take a look at the trends in the social cyberspace in the past week. After the demolition of Otodogbame by the Lagos state government, some private citizens have come together to find succor for the residents of the demolished area. For those who couldn't give, they took to their handles to sympathize with those affected. And people all over the world took time to celebrate mothers. Captivating, touching, encouraging, and heartwarming messages were shared with mothers by their sons and daughters. Well, once again, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. And joining us now is Honorable Dr. Abubakar Amuda Kanike, who is a member, House of Representatives, and the Deputy Chairman, House Committee on Works. He is also the sponsor of the Nigerian Sports Bill. We also have Philip Obaji Jr., a child rights advocate and a winner of the 2014 Future Awards Africa Prize in Education. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Well, Honorable, set the ball rolling. How can sports be used to foster peace and development, be it in Nigeria or even the world at large?
Very much. You were talking about the impact that sports makes in fostering peace worldwide.
Yes, please.
I would like to say that the most active people in sports are the youths. And youths, because of the benefit of age and that part of their life, they could be restless if their energy is not properly channeled or harnessed for positive development or constructive engagement. So I see sports as a tool for harnessing the youthfulness into more purposeful objectives. And the youths enjoy the sports, and at the same time, it takes them off mischief. So you cannot but agree with me that sports, it's a way of engaging the youths in areas that are more productive, and it has also become a tool of engagement and employment. And a lot of them have come to beyond just getting them off mischief to have a career path in sport. So it's a very veritable tool of ensuring peace and to make sure that the energy of youths are properly harnessed.
In many countries, we've seen how sports used to foster peace and also to foster development. I first talked about peace, and I said lots of individuals and organizations have been using the power of sports to pass their messages of peace, non-conflict, and of human rights and what have you. And it's been effective in many ways. As a person, to come up with a couple of initiatives in the northeast of Nigeria where I've used sports as that tool, to pass messages of human rights and of non-violence and of peaceful resolutions. And the result was awesome. So it's worked for peace development, and it can also work in many areas also as far as development in countries are concerned.
All right, so how can the Sustainable Development Goals, which is one of the ways the United Nations and even the world at large is trying to promote development, how can sports key into this drive or initiative, if you like?
Yeah, definitely. When you talk about the Sustainable Development Goal, these objectives will be easily better achievable when we properly harness the potentials of sports as a means of employment for the youth. The Sustainable Development Goal as one of its primary objectives, the engagement of youth, productively, and beyond proper upbringing and the kind of discipline that sporting activities instill in youth, it also serves as a means of engaging them, even in employment. We see that a lot of football academies are coming up everywhere in the world, and a lot of them are also springing up in developing countries like Nigeria and in other parts of Africa. And these football academies are like the youths already have, pre-chosen career paths. And for countries that believe in grassroots sports development, a lot of activities beyond football are also focused on developing talents in athletics and other sports where the countries feel that they have a comparative advantage. This is in no small measure a major, I would say, facilitator of the key policy objective of the Sustainable Development Goal.
Well, you are sponsoring a bill in the House of Representatives that will give sport a facelift, at least from what is obtainable at the moment. Can you shed more light on this?
Thank you very much. We know that sports has not properly been developed in the country. We know the limitations and we know the challenges. What the bill hopes to achieve is to provide for the administration and management of sports in Nigeria, establishment of sporting institutions, and to harness sports for development. This bill is also going to formalize and legalize the Sports Commission, the National Sports Commission. We know is in existence, but it's not effectively backed by law. The bill seeks to back the existing, you could say it's existing illegally now. It seems to, it seeks to back the, it seeks to also, very importantly, seek alternative source of funding for sports development in Nigeria particularly, because the IOC and FIFA are very concerned about the independence of sports from government. And the only way you can achieve this is to make sure that you have the National Sports Development Fund, which the bill, clearly states how we intend to get revenue from companies in Nigeria. For instance, the bill seeks to say that all companies operating in Nigeria are supposed to contribute about 0.5% of their profit to a sports development fund, while the directly involved in the sport lottery would contribute about 2% of their profit to sports development. By the time you have this money and it's properly managed, the bill also puts in place proper management of a board that will properly manage the sports development fund and make sure that sport facilities and institutions are built, and we ensure that grassroots sports development, which is fast becoming a thing of the past in this country, is refocused on, and we can properly identify talents at very tender ages, provide the infrastructure and the technical support that we sharpen them to excel as good sportsmen.
All right, we'll have to come back to you on some of the things you mentioned there, but let me come back to you, Philip. Let's get your thoughts on this bill.
I like what Honorable is doing with the sports bill. It will be really great if we have, the National Assembly to this and then, make this become a law. I know that in the past we've been, a bit confused about how the National Sports Commission works in Nigeria. It's strange to find a National Sports Commission in place but not backed by law. I remember that after many years, President Obasanjo decided the National Sports Commission appointed a chairman and a minister, but there was no board in place, apparently because we don't have the full law backing the National Sports Commission. And sports development is really, really difficult when you're working without a commission in place. There's a limit at which the ministry can go in terms of sports development. The commission does many things, including recruitment, including employment and what have you. And for those states in Nigeria where we've seen a functional sports commission, like in Cross River State, like in Delta State, back in these commissions, and where we have boards in place for these commissions, we're seeing what's happening. In a state like Cross River, for example, we have 1% of profits from going to sports development. Even though most times the question is, do the governments really follow this law? The laws that creates these commissions. But I believe strongly that if Honorable Bill scales through, becomes law, then we will see, we'll be one step with changing things around in terms of sports development and those things that concern it.
Well, Philip, as a child rights advocate, how can you navigate your role towards using sports to foster peace and development?
Well, children are also very, very important when it comes to development of a lot of things, including sports. And I'll give you a typical example. 2 years back, when we were in Borno State, in a place called Gamburu, we had some children who were Nigerian forces from Boko Haram. And these children really had to go through some bit of rehabilitation, some bit of counseling. And while we're going through that process, we noticed that when it comes to the late hours, the wee hours of the night from 9 o'clock, so restless, they want to return back to the bush. So what we decided to do was to create a football program each night, something that takes their minds off what they used to do when they were in captivity. And we began to create, and we found out that went a very far away, a long way of what they used to do when they were with. And that tells us exactly that if we begin as very useful, and if we begin to see sports also as very useful for kids, then we'll go a long way into solving certain issues that has to do with youth, with children's restiveness and what have you. So it's very hard. I'm not thinking about such things that make them so happy and such things that takes their minds off what they used to do in the past. So that's the thing. If sports works very well, then we will have children who tender ages are trained and should the skills, are brought up in ways that maybe better footballers in future, maybe take the football as a kind of career, But all the same, children need to be engaged. That's why in schools we encourage play as well. It's not just about learning. Children should be able to get involved in sporting activities while in school.
Well, Honorable Abubakar, Philip raised the issue of compliance of some policies and laws. Well, why and how will the sports bill you are pushing be any different?
Yeah, thank you very much. A very important part of the bill that is very germane is, first of all, to legitimize and legalize the existence of the Sports Commission. Once that is done and there's a proper selection of the chairman and the board members, there are set lines in the bill on how they are expected to administer the funds. A key concern is, how do we even get these funds? The 0.5% from companies that are operating in Nigeria and the 2% from a company in sports lottery in Nigeria. Important player in this matter is the FIRS. The bill sort of empowers the existing Federal Internal Revenue Service, gives them the responsibility of the collection of the funds from people that are in these categories. I'm talking about the companies that are supposed to pay 0.5% of their profit and the sport lottery agencies that will pay 2%. And once they collect this money, they're supposed to properly channel the payment to the National Sports Development Fund. That has a laid down policy on how to intervene in sports infrastructure and sports activities.
All right, we have to hold the conversation here. Thank you for coming on the program and sharing your thoughts, but we'll take a quick break and we will be back shortly. Stay with us.